Okay, so what we can do is we can edit the walls and the floor and stuff like that. So we're going to have a little look at that now. If I want to edit, say, this wall at the end here, I've got two ways I can do that. I can either single click it so it's selected, then right click and choose modify wall, or I could just double click on it and get the same dialog box up. Now, one thing I will say is that I've noticed with this software, sometimes this window doesn't pop open. If you find that that happens to yours, simply save your work, close it and open it again. I don't know if it's a glitch, something to do with the video card, I'm not sure what causes it, but closing it and opening it seems to get over that problem. So here's my modify wall panel, so I'm going to change this end wall over here. What I want to do is I want to change both sides of it. So I'm going to put maybe a colour on one side and a texture on the other side, and we'll see if I get it the right way around. So I'm going to go for a colour. I'm just going to pick a random one, maybe a kind of light blue. And over here on the other side I'm going to go for texture. Now textures come with a whole series of built-in ones, and you can also import your own. For the moment I'm just going to use one that's there, so I'm going to find some wall ones and I'm going to go for maybe small red bricks. So that's a preview of it. I'm going to click OK here and I'm going to click OK here. Now you can see I've got it the wrong way around. The left and right on mine is not the correct way around, so I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to flip them over. So I'm going to make this one the texture with the wall of red brick, and I'm going to go on this one and I'm going to change this to a light blue kind of colour and say OK. So there's my wall. Now if I move it around using my left mouse button down the bottom, you can see I've got the brick effect on one side and I've got the blue wall on the other side. Now that's doing individual walls, and you might want to have different colours on different walls. But if you want to do the whole thing in one go, you can choose to select a room. So I'm going to go for this one here. I'm just going to literally, in the floor area, double click. And you can see that's opened up a slightly different looking dialog box. I can name it if I choose to, so maybe I'll call this one bedroom. And in that bedroom area now, I'm going to go for a floor. And I'm going to go for texture on my floor. So maybe I will try, I don't want it to be grass. Let's have a look what else we got. Tiles. Dark blue tiles, maybe I'll try that. Now same thing, if I wanted to get carpet or something, I could click on this import button and choose my own picture, and I might show you that in a minute. So for the minute I'll click OK there for my texture. And ceiling, at the moment my ceiling's not being displayed. If I want to have a ceiling displayed, I can click over here and turn that on, and again I can choose a colour for my ceiling if I want to. I think for the moment I'm just going to stick with a very pale colour, very light pink maybe. And I'm going to choose how to put walls around the room. So I'm going to put a colour around the inside. I'll make a different colour for this one so we can see it. I'll choose a kind of gaudy green colour. Okay, now this bit here, sideboards and baseboard. A baseboard is like a strip of wood that would go along the bottom of this area here. Now that's useful if you wanted to have a wall that was split, so you could actually increase the size and the height of that baseboard, so you could have kind of half the wall in one material and the bottom half in another. I'm not going to do that for the moment. I'm just going to say OK. Just before I do that, you can see you've got the option of shiny or matte with all of these things, so you can play around with those. I'm going to say OK. So now you can see all in one go it's put the blue tiled floor in, and it's made the walls here on the inside that green colour. So we've got different options of how we can mess around to change the look of this thing. I did say that it was possible to bring our own textures and things in, so I'm going to go back into my floor again. This time, where my floor is, my texture, I'm going to click back in here. This time I'm going to choose import. Now when I open up the import button, it gives me the option of this window. I'm going to say choose an image. Now I know that, not in my photos from my holiday, but if I go onto my desktop and I go into my Sweet Home folder, I've got one that I've called materials, and inside there I've got one called carpet. And these are just pictures, and if I show you a detailed view, no, it doesn't show. These pictures are of different sorts of carpets that I've basically downloaded the pictures on. You can see they're PNG files. And I'm going to go for one called red carpet and say open. Now it's asking me, do I want to reduce the size, because my picture's really big. You can experiment with this. I'm going to say reduce the size and see how it looks and let them choose for me. That's the texture surface of it. I'm going to hit continue. If I want to give it a name and so on, I can. And I've got some dimensions there in terms of how much it changes, but I'm going to just go with everything it says for the moment and hit finish. And then say OK. and say OK again, and now you can see that my red carpet has been put into my room.